As far as crazy things happening, I know Tim mentioned, sometimes he gets those ghost box things. Actually, I told you about our spaghetti warehouse investigations we were doing with the public. But the very first time that we investigated there, I had one of my leaders at that time was out at a booth in the spaghetti warehouse where they had a known spirit that would show up, and he was always real nice to the ladies there. So Corey starts asking questions. He didn't hear anything. He had his earbuds in and everything. He didn't hear a voice while he was asking questions.
Oh.
Well, then he downloaded it on break and he played it back and he enhanced it. And after he asked a question, he got a very distinct FU. And then, I mean, if it's not a terrible thing to say, he even got called a bitch a little later on. I mean, that just made all of our nights right there.
Al, you just reminded me of the one where you were left in the basement by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I caught you off guard.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that right.
Because you had a similar experience. Well, we'll go while you think of that. We'll go on to Linda.
Okay.
I think one of the ones that I recall would be one I had with Sandra, actually, and that would be at the warehouse, Sandra, with that huge truck that was in there. There's this huge semi truck in this warehouse that Sandra and I, for whatever reason, we got an ugly vibe from the truck. But the only thing I kept thinking of is the movie Christine with the car. And there's one with semis come to life. And the more the night wore on, the more that movie got to me. And it got to the point where I just pushed Sandra ahead and said, every time we'd have to go that way, you go first. If it's going to get one of us, it's getting you first. I'm old. I can't run that fast.
There you go. There you
Maximum overdrive with the semi truck with the jester's face on the front of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
The one thing that I remember, and I believe this is what you were thinking of, Tom, is actually when I was alone in solitary confinement at the Mansfield Reformatory. And I had the ghost box going, and I kept asking questions, and this thing just would not communicate, wouldn't touch a device, wouldn't do nothing. And I said, look, just give me a name, tell me something. I know you're here. And all of a sudden I heard, not gonna happen. Right across the ghost box, clear as a bell. And I thought, why don't I have my recorder? Why isn't Sandra here with me recording?
Just letting you know, in no uncertain terms, it's not going to happen. Well, Sandra, would that also be yours that Linda was talking about?
Oh, I've got a totally different one.
Oh, okay.
We were investigating a business in the Toledo area, and every so often, I think I was upstairs, I'd hear this noise, and it would just catch me off guard, and I'd turn, it was like, shh, and I just, what is that? Every so often I'd hear it. I was trying to figure out what is that, and then I figured it out. They had those automatic air fresheners hanging on the wall, and every so often, every few minutes, it go, psh. And I thought, are you kidding me? It just totally disappointed me. I thought that's something cool. And no, it's not cool.
and that you are able to share that.
Nope.
You lived through
it. I did.
Well, Sandra, they've got those very same things have gotten me too, because I have gone all over the building. What the hell is that noise? I'm hearing it, and then finally, and you're standing next to it, and it gets you in the eye.
Yeah, and then you feel really stupid,
We did have another member who we were investigating a home, and she came running into a room to show me photos that she had and was all excited because she's like, look at this. I got an apparition. Finally, I've got something. Yeah. And was stumbling all over trying to show me the pictures, and we're looking at it and we're like, oh my God, that's so And then it dawned on me what it was, and it was the fan poles in the bedroom that she had captured. Yeah, they had some decorative ones that had like wings
Oh
and stuff
boy!
on
Oh
it.
yeah, I've seen the little butterflies or dragonflies.
Yeah,
That
and I was like, "Ooh, debunked. So sorry."
That's the fun debunking. Sandra, you reminded me. Years ago, I was again. My past is varied and strange, and for a while, I was a minister, and I was scheduled to do a little children's session one morning, and I had sat down, had this great idea, and had written it all down, and so I was out of town. I had was up somewhere in Illinois, southern Illinois, if I remember correctly, and I had this great idea for the children's service the next day, and so I'm going to bed, and I lay down, and I hear this almost like fingernails scraping across the chalkboard. And I'm like, oh my God, something, I got this great message for the kids. And now something's trying to steal it, some kind of demon or spirit. And so I would get up and say, get out of here. I'm covered and all this. You can't affect me. You can't harm me. And I lay down, go back to sleep. And just as soon as I start dozing off, I hear that scraping again. I get up, turn on the light, look around. There's nothing there. And on my headboard, there's the little clock that I'd set up for an alarm for the next morning. And nothing's there. And so I lay back down, and I'm like, what is going on? I hear it again. And I mean, I'm getting those chills and everything. It's like something's in the room with me, and I turn on the lights and there's nothing there. I look around the headboard. There's nothing there, just my little alarm clock. And so I lay back down to go to sleep, and I hear it again. And I'm like, this is just driving me bonkers. And I turn on the light, and I just sit up in bed and lean back. And then I hear this right behind my head. I mean, right behind my head. And I'm like, oh my God, it's right there. And I slowly turn around, and I'm looking straight into the face of that alarm clock. And every time the second hand would get down to about 30, it would scratch. And I was like, oh my God. Felt like an idiot. So, all right. Now, I'm going to get a little serious here. What has been your most profound paranormal experience, your most profound encounter? Something that just really shook you to the core, not, with fear, but just shook you and said, oh my God, this is really real. Who wants to start? Okay.
I'll start.
And I'm getting some noise from somewhere. I don't know who knows. Hold on just a second. Sandra, when you were telling your story a little bit ago,
yeah,
I just want to ask each one of you, Tim, Al, Greg, Linda, Sandra, is there anybody there with you right now? Human people.
They're outside.
Because the reason I ask is because when Sandra was telling her story, this last one, I heard footsteps. Now, was that actually somebody walking near you?
My wife's right downstairs, and I can hear her footsteps every once in a while. It could have been her.
Okay.
There's no footsteps. There hasn't been any footsteps through here.
Tim,
Yeah.
Tim, did you hear it?
I heard it too. I wasn't sure what it was either, but I was catching it through the microphones. It wasn't here in the house, but normally when it's on my house, it's that cat meowing in the background that doesn't exist.
Well, we've had 2 shows where a mysterious cat meowed.
Right.
So when I heard footsteps, when I go back and watch the recording, I'm going to check for that. And I mean, it sounded like somebody walking while she was telling the story. Okay, so we're going to move on now to your most profound experience with the paranormal that just settled something inside you and said, "This is real." Sandra?
Well, as you know, I said I've had experiences my whole life. And those experiences would be pretty minor. I would see things here and there, hear things, but nothing really, really definitive that I could actually detailed tell it out later, you know. Um, but when I was in 7th grade, I woke up out of a dead sleep. I had to use the bathroom. I wake up, I open my eyes, and across my room, across from my bed, I had a dresser that sat there. And sitting on that dresser, when I opened my eyes, was clearly a little girl.
Wow.
Wearing a dress, long hair. She was just sitting there, looking straight at me, clear as day. So I was kind of frozen in terror. I'd never seen anything.
Yeah.
I'd never seen an apparition before that. That was my first one. And so I sat there looking at it, and I thought, man, I really got to go to the bathroom, but I'm just frozen. I can't move. And
A case for wetting the
she
bed.
actually started to float towards me.
Whoa.
And I don't know why, but out of just totally wasn't my brain thinking, but my body, I just sat up really quick. And when I did that, I must have startled her. She went right back to where she was, and she just stayed there. And that's when I extremely slowly just pulled the covers over my face, closed my eyes, and just thought, I'm going back to sleep.
Wow.
When I woke up, it was gone. But that was the most vivid that I ever, first real vivid experience. Yeah. And it was clear as day.
Wow.
And my stepfather, he lived there at the time, and he didn't believe in the paranormal at all. Total skeptic. And I had told my mom about the experience. You know, I would always tell my mom about my experiences, and she says, that's interesting. She said, he once, my stepdad, said that he saw a little girl in the house too.
Really?
And he was a complete skeptic. And I had never been told of that story. So that was pretty interesting.
Yes. Uh-oh. What happened to Tim? All right, Greg. Okay, he just had to cut the camera off for a minute.
You know, I too have always had weird things happening to me my whole life, but probably the most profound one was when I was going to Kent State University. A lot of times what we do, me and a couple other people, we would go and walk the railroad tracks in the middle of the night. And if you've never walked the railroad tracks in the middle of the night, it's just really interesting because you get a lot of temperature fluctuations, a lot of weird vibes coming off the track. But when we were going there, first we were cutting across the field to get there. I kept seeing a lot of lights in the air and something moving through the grass. It was very weird. And then we eventually made it to the tracks. And as we were walking down the tracks, we approached the bridge that once you hit the bridge, it's probably like 5 or 6 lanes long going underneath it. And we all just kind of stopped. We're like, why are we stopping? We're like, I don't know. So we walked through it, and as soon as we got through it and on the other side, everything changed. Like, it seemed like 10 degrees warmer. It was like this whole kind of happy fairy tale kind of feeling. But then we kept hearing a weird baby noise coming from the woods. And it sounded like somebody just making a really bad imitation of a baby. And then we hear crunching like something was walking across sticks real slowly up and down the path. So and for the record, even though I was going to Kent State, we were not drinking or anything else that night. Not just somebody's thinking that. We were sober. But we kept hearing this thing walking up and down, making these baby noises. And then once it walked up to where there was another bridge up a little ways, we saw a car slam on the brakes like something was walked in front of it on the bridge. So then all of a sudden we started hearing the baby noise come back. But then on top of that, I kept seeing, it looked like a figure in like a poofy red coat, kept running and jumping up on the bridge, probably like about 100 feet away from where I was. and he would jump up to where the tracks were, and he would just disappear. So I saw that like 3 times, I would say. So then the baby noise kind of stopped, and then it sounded like something was walking, something really heavy was walking towards us through really deep water, like it was kind of swishing as it was kind of walking. And we just got like all freaked out, and we just felt like we had to make it back under the bridge, and if we didn't make it to the other side, we just weren't gonna make it out. Which is, when you go through something like that, like when you're talking about it, it just sounds weird, but at the time, it's very real.
Oh yeah.
As soon as we hit the bridge to try and get on the other side, the train actually came blaring through. So if we would have been on the other side of the tracks, we would have been flies on the windshield. But after we got through that, and we were just all drained. And we went back the next day because it was such a weird experience. We wanted to see what was there in the daytime. And like there was like almost no water. So how we heard something walking through heavy water,
wow,
I couldn't tell you. Like the whole thing was just different. So
yeah,
but it was just total craziness.
2 things.
Yeah.
One, isn't it the Puckwudgies that try to lure their people with the baby crying in the woods? Puckwudgies are one of the little people that they try to lure folks that way. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from something. I don't know who that's coming from. I can hardly hear anything but a roaring noise. Can everybody just try to mute their mics real quick? Okay, it quit. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where that was coming from, but it may have just started a feedback loop. But yeah, it's the Puckwudgies are one of the little people that try to lure their victims with cries of a baby in the distance. And then secondly, you reminded me of the story we told, Tim. What was that street in England where people walk through portals in time?
Right. I can't think of what the street is there.
And we talked about several time loops or time portals, right, where it seems as if you walked into something and you may have been taken to a different dimension or a different time, a different world.
It definitely felt like we walked through a door into somewhere else, and that's the only time I've ever experienced it. But it was crazy for sure.
Yeah, especially when you came back the next day and it was all different.
Yeah, it was like normal.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. That's pretty, because like I said, Tim, I don't know if you heard the part about they were hearing a baby and the crying and in the woods, and
right,
wasn't that Puckwudgies? Was that
Puckwudgies will do that sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah. Our first show of the season this year, back in January, was called "What the Puck," where we talked about Puckwudgies. Linda, what about you? Most profound?
Again, I've had a lot of different experiences here at home, and I think I had 2 that would come to mind. And one is that in the middle of the night, we will hear glass breaking, like someone stacked all the glasses on a tray and then just drop it. It'll wake us up out of a dead sleep. My husband and I will get up, we'll search the house, and there's nothing. And I'll think like, oh, the cat knocked something off the counter. Right. Nothing. No broken glass.
Wow.
And I think the other is actually in one of when we did the initial investigation here, and I got another team member got the EVP with my dad's voice on it.
Oh, that's amazing. Was it just you could tell it was his voice, or was he saying something specific?
I had asked.
Hold on. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Those wasn't any of you. Somebody was talking. Did y'all hear that?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, holy crap! I'm gonna have. There it goes again. I'm gonna have to go back and when I go in to edit this, see what that was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Linda.
No,
that just started happening. It sounded like a live EVP.
It did.
Wow. Okay. I will. When I go back and check, I will let y'all know, because just as you were talking about that, it sounded like a man talking through
Yeah,
a
somebody-
staticky microphone. Wow. All right. I'm sorry, Linda. Go ahead.
We were doing, it was one of the final sessions of the night, actually, and there were two other team members, and myself in my living room, and I had asked if it was my mom. I, called her name out and didn't get an answer. I asked if it was her first husband and received nothing. And I said, Daddy, is that you? And all just clear as day, not just on the recording, but you could actually hear it. You could hear him say yes.
Wow.
And I recognized the voice.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And you recognized his
voice. Yeah.
Tim, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but we have a private chat, and that's the way we communicate outside the show, basically. And Tim just says it keeps sounding like a paranormal puck is sounding in the background.
There's something else that I'm hearing in the background constantly that it's making a noise. If you've used a paranormal puck on a regular basis and you get that little bit of feedback right before you get a voice in there, every once in a while you're catching it through the earphones, and I'm going,
well,
what is that?
It's probably because we're connected to Linda's house, from what I understand. we have a camera right in there on her house, and so who knows? Anything's possible.
This is true.
Al, do you want to chime in on the most profound? Because I think you've shared on the show before, but do you have something you want to share now?
There's just so many.
Yeah.
I'll go back to one of the early ones that I had. Actually, we were investigating a library, and it's in Sylvania, Ohio. And myself and one of my elders of the team were up towards the front of the library, and we're asking questions, getting a few hits on the equipment. And all of a sudden, I see something, and I look up, and there's this mist coming through the glass entryway.
Wow.
And entered right into the library. And within about 4 seconds, a shelf full of books popped up, swung out, and dumped 10 books on the ground.
Holy cow.
And these shelves were not easy to move around or to loosen up or anything. And I stood there and I watched this mist go right through. And then it happened. And there was no one in that area. Everyone ran to it, had cameras going, had the recorders going, trying to figure out what was going on. And it befuddled all of us.
Wow. So everybody saw the mist?
I was the only one that saw the mist.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, because everyone was spread out in different areas. Okay. But I saw it come right through the front of the library.
Wow. Well, we got one more serious question before I get to the trick question. Tim's going to ask you that, but I got to chatting with you guys and forgot that we've got pictures. And let me just run through these real quick, and because I forgot all the pictures. Some of them you sent me before, some of them you sent me now. We don't have to go into a big explanation. I think that was at Gettysburg.
Yep.
All right. That
is actually at the Collingwood Arts Center in downtown Toledo.
Wow.
Okay.
That's at the Pemberville Opera House in Pemberville, Ohio.
And that orb is intense.
Oh, yeah.
And then, well, what are y'all doing there?
That's the booth where we got the FU.
Okay. All right, some more orbs at Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, yes.
And that's just some of your gear.
Yeah, that was some of the early gear.
There you are back at that booth again. Now, this one to me was kind of spooky, though it's not necessarily, I don't believe it's paranormal, but if I walked into a building and saw this, it would be creepy.
Yeah. That was actually at a sanatorium in Indiana, the Indiana State Sanatorium.
Wow.
Someone put that on the wall, and it was like, wow, really cool.
Okay, what is this? The REM
That's
pod
at
going off?
Linda's house.
That's at Linda's house?
It's at Linda's house. Well, the guy that had the FU at the spaghetti warehouse was the only one that would climb up into her attic area, her storage.
Oh, okay.
where
Well,
she always felt uncomfortable.
well, who's that creepy looking thing in the red overalls? That's creepy.
That door was actually the one that flew open
Oh, wow. Okay.
when I said I heard a door. That was the door.
All right. And what is this?
That's Linda and Greg and Sandra. We're at the Indiana State Sanatorium there.
And it was cold.
Oh, yeah.
I did a cold one out in a cemetery one time. That was not. Now that doesn't look paranormal.
Well, I'll tell you, that took place in Gettysburg. That's actually my wife sitting in the car. We had a ghost follow us in the car through the cemetery.
Oh, wow.
And I told him when we got to the highway, he had to go back to
That's
his
right.
troop.
Time to go back.
As soon as we turned on, everything stopped.
Wow. Cool.
There's Greg at the sanatorium also. You know, and it was cold there, Tom, but the buildings and the tunnels were so cool, you forgot about the cold.
I just don't do cold. Now, I joke about that. It was like 40 degrees, and that's cold to me, a good old Southern boy. And so we were out there, but we came across this grave that had a cold spot beside it, about 4 feet off the ground, and it was probably about 18 inches square. You could actually reach your hand in there, and it'd be like sticking your hand in a freezer. Just the dramatic difference. And just this little, I mean, there was nothing to see. It was just a little cold spot. We found it by walking through it, and we're like, whoa. It was just like get slapped in the face by, an icicle or something, or snow. There's some more at Gettysburg. Okay, let's get on down here. There's a bunch more.
Actually, at the Toledo Club, and you can see the one spindle on the periscope lit up red there.
Uh-huh.
That is humanly impossible to do.
Really?
That lights up off of static electricity.
Huh.
So if we create any static near it, 90% of the time it lights the whole thing up, or at least half of it.
Oh. But I see the millimeters also spiking over there or something.
Yeah, and actually during that investigation, we had one of the employees of the Toledo Club down in that locker room, and she had her ponytail lifted up and dropped, and one of my investigators witnessed that.
Wow. Is this the same place?
Nope, that's actually out at a place called Father John's. Is that what it was called?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, it's really neat. It was a church that they had converted into a microbrewery and restaurant.
Yep, they've done that here.
Right.
And then you visited the Lizzie Borden house, right?
That was pretty cool.
We did a show called 40 Wax, talking about Lizzie Borden.
Right.
All right. Let me take that picture off. Like I said, Tim's going to ask you one final question, and then we're going to go into my trick question for y'all.
So let's ask everybody, what is your either your least or your most favorite investigation that you've done at this point?
I think for me, the least favorite investigations are when you have a client call you up and is going on and on about all the activity that they have, and just shy of, you know, furniture moving across the floor and things flying at you kind of deal. And then you get there and there's like absolutely nothing. and they keep are like, oh, but wait, it's going to start. Oh, but wait. And so you just kind of wonder,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
what all they were experiencing and if they were.
Yeah, if they really were.
Yeah. So those are frustrations that any investigator would experience, but those are my least favorite.
Yeah.
Right.
Sandra?
My favorite, I can't really pick just one, but going to any really famous or notorious place that's extremely active, I mean, every time it's just like a huge rush, you know, just the thrill of that is awesome.
Right.
You know, going to a prison or a sanatorium or something like that, it's just amazing. And my least favorite ones, sorry, that's my dog. The least favorite ones would be kind of a similar to what Linda said, but you know, you go into maybe a residence where clients have reached out to us and they really want help. You know, they've got a lot of stuff going on that's scaring them, but then you get there, you do an investigation, and then you realize that maybe they've brought some stuff on themselves.
Right.
You know, that does happen. And that,
Yeah.
I think that's my least favorite, is to know, well, why did you bring all this on yourself and then ask for help? And then sometimes they even make it clear that they really don't wish to change what they're doing. You know, that's, you know, can be frustrating.
I heard a veteran investigator talk about that very thing on a podcast I was listening to, where they would go in and help the homeowner and supposedly clear everything out, had a priest with them and all this kind of stuff. And then when they would leave, the owner would get out their Ouija board and start calling it all back in.
Right.
Because
exactly.
and they didn't, the investigator and the team didn't know this for like a year or two. They kept going back and kept going back and kept going back. And then it just turned out, you know, you hate this, but it does happen, where the lady just had probably some mental issues and was just looking for company.
Yep, absolutely.
Know, and they said there was things manifest. They got evidence every time they went, and they would try to help her and give her things, you know, do this, do that, you know, sage and all that kind of stuff, and blessing the home, and then she'd just call them right back in. Yeah. Greg?
Well,
now that you're back with us, you're just back and forth.
I know we have a connection problems here today.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us.
What was the question that you'd ask? Was it an investigation?
Either your least or favorite kind of investigations.
My least favorite is when the environment isn't that good, and I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes like.
He's bogging down.
Yep.
That happens sometimes on these shows. When he first came in, he had no camera and vocal audio, but now he's got no audio and camera. Oh. Boy, he's.
Yeah, I think we're losing
him again.
So, So let's ask this, because I know Linda was talking about you going to the environment where it's been very well built up by the family, you know, everything going on over again. Al, you talked about having gone to the Lizzie Borden house. Yes. What was your experience like there? Because I know what mine was like, so I just wanted to hear yours.
When we went through the Lizzie Borden house, we carried our K2s with us, and we were getting several hits as we went through. Yeah. So whoever's still there, dad, mom, you know, stepmom, you know, they're still definitely roaming around the house. They're curious about people that come through. and I wear my gear almost everywhere, so they were probably really curious about me. And
Right.
I got many hits as we went through. We kept getting cold spots, and I could definitely feel the presence around us. So it's a very strong environment there.
Yeah. Tim, did you experience some of that?
We didn't experience anything. That was my biggest
Oh.
disappointment going to the lizard board nest was there was
Doggone
nothing. And we were there all night, and it's like, oh, what a disappointment, you know. It's like, because it had been so well built up for us. And so you're right. When you have that moment where it's like, okay, maybe other people are getting that experience, but
Well,
you get
you went
nothing.
through
It's like, oh,
you went through the same thing at the Velisca house, did you?
right, exactly. Velisca
Nothing.
was terrible. Yeah, nothing at Velisca at all. So,
Well,
yeah,
I
Velisca
mean,
was very different.
you never know. I mean, I the team I was on at one time 2 years ago, we went to a restaurant, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, nothing on
Right.
video, nothing on camera, nothing on recording, nothing. It was dead.
Right.
We went back the next night, and it was just like boom, 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 EVPs, lights. I mean, you know, shadow figures, you name it, one thing after another. My name getting called, my buddy's name getting called, and all that. I mean, it's just, so you never know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate that Greg is having connection trouble. I'm getting that loud noise again. Maybe some spiritual interference. Who knows? So before we close out, I want to ask you the one trick question. Let's mute our mics because I can't even hear myself. I feel like I'm having to yell. Okay.
Right.
All right. The trick question. I want to make sure everybody hears it. Now, after having been on this show, what is your most favorite of all time paranormal podcast or show? Anybody?
This one.
Yeah.
I would agree it would be this one.
This one.
Strange people.
That's about every episode with us, so it's all good.
It's strange. I mean, it's strange every time.
Right.
All right. Before we close out, Al, can you give us a glimpse into the future of PSEI?
Okay, a glimpse into the future. Within about 3.5 months, you will see more of a blossoming PSEI East and PSEI West. My wife and I are moving to the San Diego area. I'll be working on setting up a team out there.
Wow.
And the three great folks that we've had on the show with me here today, Linda, Greg, and Sandra, are taking over the PSEI East, and they will continue to help people here in the Toledo area. And then I will start helping, hopefully, the Hollywood stars out in Southern California.
Oh, right. Excellent. So there will be a PSEI East and a PSEI West.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And we normally do final thoughts. Al, do you have any final thoughts as we close out the show today?
Well, want to appreciate, send my appreciation out to you gentlemen, Tom and Tim, for having us on the show tonight and highlighting our team. I do want to let other teams out there know that if you're investigating in people's homes, please be considerate to them. If you are not able to help them in any way, you may want to back off and let a team go in that does this for people, helps them through their issues of fear and not knowing what's going on in their home. I've known some teams that have gone into homes and told people, oh, you got this going on, you got that going on, see you later.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you can do to people, because now you've increased their fear, you've increased their problems, and it's just not a good thing at all. So please you know, go do the Mansfield reformatories, the,
Right.
you know, the Alcatrazes, things like that, you know, where you're bound to have something happen. It's going to be exciting for you, and you're not putting people in harm's way.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, because on was it our last show or our Mississippi Redux? We had just gone through one of the revisited shows on that ghost hunting show that you were on,
Right.
and I added that to our show, saying, "Hey, if you've never been ghost hunting before and you want to do it, that's fine." Because I said on the show, just go do it. You know, you don't need a degree in parapsychology or anything like that. Just go do it. But I felt like I needed to add what Al just said, that please, if you've never done it before, don't go to a private home to try to help somebody that's really having some, say, poltergeist or demonic activity, because you'll cause yourself problems, you'll cause them problems, and they've got to stay there and live with it. So yeah, go to the Mansfield reformatories, go to the big public investigations, find a local team and get in there and learn. So yes, Al, I'm glad you brought that up again. Sandra, final thoughts on the show today?
Just that I really appreciate you having us on. Yep.
Oh, it's been our pleasure.
Good job. It was fun.
Linda?
The same. Thank you so much for having us on. I appreciate that. I also appreciate that you get the word out there for people.
Excellent. I thank you so much for saying that. All right, Tim, final thoughts?
Now, if somebody needs to contact your group, Al, how are they going to find you guys?
Okay, they are going to find these ladies. Best place to find them is on Facebook, and that would be at facebook.com/PSEI East.
Okay.
Excellent.
That'll
Excellent.
pull the page right up.
Yeah, but now this show is not limited by geography. So if you happen to be watching and you're out west and you need Al, hang on a little bit, and in the next month or two, you'll be able to get him and his new team to come out and help you.
And if you want to contact me from out west right now, I do have the Facebook page up, and it is PSEI West.
Excellent.
So
Great.
just plug that in, send me a message. When I get out there, I'll be glad to come out and help in any way I can.
Well, I don't know of any viewers, any of the watchers in California, but you never know, because we had a watcher in Norway. Sweden. Was it Sweden or Norway?
Yeah.
One of the other.
One of the two. Yeah, he was a lot of fun that day. So.
Yeah, there were 4 screens up, and John, and Andrea's husband, was clean shaven. Tim has his scruff like he has now, and then there was me, and then there was Lewis, who has that beard down to here. And he commented like, "Christ, it's the perfect evolution of beards."
Right.
He just went one to the other. So,
well, make sure that you send us a link for the show when it comes out.
oh yeah, I mean,
we'll put it out on our page.
Well, thank you so much. It will be, like I said, May 7th is the day this is broadcasting on our Facebook page. Well, from our perspective, it's next Saturday, but when this is being streamed, it's today. Yeah, it's showing today.
Right.
So, well, guys, I know from my experience in working with Al through the previous company, and then staying in touch with him, we've stayed friends, the integrity this man has, and he's taken that and shared it in with his team, and that's how they operate. They're not out there for the thrills, the chills, and the excitement. They get those, as you would on any investigation, but they're really to help folks. So if you're in the Toledo area, soon to be California, and he'll give you all the details when that happens. And you're having some issues, poltergeist and or otherwise, and you want the PSEI team to come in, I don't think you could ask for a better group of folks. They're not going to be like he who should not be named and run off screaming when a shadow person moves across the hallway. So I've enjoyed this. Well, Al, thank you so
Thank y'all
much.
for coming
Linda,
today.
Sandra, we certainly appreciate it. Greg, I'm sorry we lost you, man, but thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys' commitment to what you do. And those the watchers, if you've been watching, thank you for being here. Stay safe on your strange journeys. We'll see you next show and the next trip.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.